Isn't it weird that we've all been in our fair share of toxic relationships? But today we're gonna go over some things, kind of explain what a toxic relationship is and how to escape it early on for those who, gotten the luck to not have to deal with one fully head on or just to get out of one in general if you're in a really toxic one now. So basically, like what a toxic relationship means to me is, and basically it could be unhealthy by like, anything negative, right? Like there's mental and physical abuse, that's a big one. There's disrespect, between both parties, um lying and dishonesty, manipulation, one trying to control another. I'm pretty sure the list goes on and on. But essentially, we all know that it just ends up hurting both parties in the end. No one gains anything from this. It's always better to try to save yourself before like anything gets as bad or, things worsen or you find yourself in a situation that's harder to get out of. Most of the time we fall victim of, not wanting to leave because, either we're scared of change. Some people are just afraid to leave. Some people just don't know how to leave. There's so many key factors that just why people stay in these toxic relationships longer than they should. You always want to see how people act towards others, not just only with you, because I feel like once you see how people are with other people, you kind of get a branch of, okay, maybe they're hiding or they're putting up like a certain persona just so they can keep you around or whatever. Just little things like if someone tries to control you, try to find out, what the triggers are, why is it exactly that you're feeling controlled, and it's always good to try to figure these things out pretty early on. Like I said, like you don't want to prolong this, especially if you're like in a super toxic relationship, because at the end of the day, you're not doing yourself a favor, and you're definitely not doing the other person a favor. But I mean, if you're having trouble trying to find out how to kind of like pick up these red flags, I mean, you could always go and try to seek professional help or just any type of help in general that can help you, find the guidance and support that you lack. And once you start to pick up these signs, you kind of, if you're lucky enough to pick them up early on, which most of us are, we kind of just ignore them. Never ignore the red flags. But if you do, if you notice the red flags and you kind of know like, and you pick up on them, even if it's like you kind of try to brush them off, but you still know them, don't ever let that slip the back of your mind. But with that being said, once you start to notice them, if you continue to be with that person or I would start to set boundaries really, really early on. I mean, you should already have boundaries between both parties regardless, but if you kind of let things slide, then they kind of just become the norm because like I like to say, once you let someone do it once, they're prone and likely to do it again. And then once that kind of happens, it just kind of does like a repetitive type of thing where it just goes on and over and over and over again. But basically with that, like I said, you want to set boundaries. It could be, whatever your boundaries are, everyone's going to be different, but you want to set boundaries. You want to make sure that person is fully understanding the boundaries you are setting and that you are fully understanding the boundaries they are setting. You want to make it very transparent and very clear so that if this person, oversteps your boundaries, you made it clear to them and there's no reason for them to feel upset when you tell them that they're overstepping your boundaries. You're also going to want to create an exit plan. How are you going to execute this? Like I said, if you're planning on leaving someone because you're in a very toxic relationship, my best advice is to, sit, depending on how toxic they are, to you. I don't, I'm not in everyone's relationship, but if you kind of know your relationship could get out of hands, whether it's physically, mentally, I would recommend, meeting somewhere public, even bringing someone with you that you trust, like a friend or someone, and have a conversation and let them know, hey, I'm leaving you because of this. Let them know why you're leaving them. Don't keep them out of the loop. Let them know why you're leaving. Tell them every exact reason. And then from there, I would delete the number, block that person, and try to have every reason to not have contact with them. And then from there, try to focus on. So, like I said, you want to seek professional help, just to get your mind right, learn how to heal correctly from the traumas and everything that you had to endure. Hopefully this video helped you guys, understand things a little bit more. We've all been there. There's nothing to be ashamed of. It's just, picking up the red flags, creating a plan and learning how and when to leave and setting boundaries for yourself. And then all you want to do after that is, so with that being said, I'm gonna end the video there and I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. Peace.